185milessouth.com.
Smash that Patreon button.
185 Miles South, a hardcore punk rock podcast.
Questions and answers.
Introducing first, fighting out of the hard corner. Fueled by cheesesteaks and the Rocky soundtrack, don't come to him asking for salvation. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, it's Heaven, the King of the Windmill, Hare. And his opponent, fighting out of the core corner. From parts unknown, weight unknown. Reason he didn't pick Minor Threat in the Straight Edge Super 7, unknown. It is the reigning, defending, undisputed 185 Miles South trivia champion of the world, Daniel, these questions are too easy, Sant!
All right, and for the first question, we go to Kev. Kev, what is the greatest hardcore song of all time?
Blind Justice, Into Last Warning.
Point to Kev. And Dan, we go to you for a classic question as well. What is the worst punk song of all time?
I mean, there's many options, but on this pod, it is, God, I always fucking forget it. It's Chicken Squawk MDC.
A point to the champ.
I always want to say chicken fucker. I don't know why, but I knew it had a rhyme with mohawk. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, there are many bad punk songs, but there is one that is the worst, and this is the one. So, okay, let's go back to Kev for round number 2. Kev, on the SOA 7-inch, is there a period after the A?
Ooh. I'm going to say no.
A point to Kev. Tricky Boys SOA there. And Dan, speaking of SOA, back when Henry Rollins was cool, he shared the same name as what fictional feline?
That would be the Devourer of Lasagna, a.k.a. Garfield.
That is correct. A point to the champ. Now, when it comes to theme songs, the Heathcliff theme song is much better. But Garfield, pound for pound, a better cat. You know, so. Okay, let's go to Kev for round number 3. Kev, what is the 1-second Napalm Death song called?
You Suffer.
A point to Kev. And Dan, they're British, so this is on the table. What are the lyrics of the Napalm Death song You Suffer?
You Suffer.
We go to Kev for the potential steal. Kev, what are the lyrics to the 1-second Napalm Death song You Suffer?
You suffer, but why?
A point to Kev. Epic steal. And shout out for stuffing all those words into a 1-second song. Okay, but now Kev has got to show that he's got some metal on that British shit. Kev, how many shows do the Sex Pistols play in the USA on their 1978 tour? Is it? It's multiple choice, so don't worry. Is it A, 5, B, 7, C, 9, or D, 11?
Ooh, this is a complete guess. I'm going to go B7.
Dan, you want to say if that's correct or not?
I think he got it right.
Yeah, Kev got it right. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Let's go.
That's right. That's right. And staying there, Dan, name 3 of the cities that the Sex Pistols played in the USA on their 1978 tour.
San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Dallas.
Oof. Kev, we can go to you for the steal.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. Not expecting a steal here. So, Kev, you can tap if you want, or you can take a shot.
I'm going to try. So I like two of those answers. I'm going to go San Francisco and Los Angeles, and I'm going to say that they flew to New York too.
A noble effort, but you followed Dan's wrong lead. They did not play L.A. The only California show was that San Francisco show, Dan.
Oh, I thought they were booked for LA, but they broke up in SF.
Yeah. So they played it.
Shit.
Atlanta, Memphis, San Antonio, Baton Rouge, Dallas, Tulsa, and San Francisco.
Yeah, because I know Sid got beat up in Dallas.
Yeah, that's right. That is in the 185 miles south of somewhere fanzine written about in the history section. So check that out. Okay, let's go back to Kev for round number 5. Kev, this is also a multiple choice question. What prehistoric bird species was named after the Bad Religion singer Greg Graffin? Was it Quilania graphopolis, B, Quilania graffini, C, Quilania gregorio, or D, Quilania hey?
Can you repeat those, please?
Absolutely. Was it A, Quilania graphopolis, B, Quilania graffini, C, Quilania gregorio, or D, Quilania hey?
I'm going to go A, Quilania graphopolis.
We go to Dan for the potential steal. Dan, what prehistoric bird species was named after Bad Religion singer Greg Graffin? Was it A, Quilania graphopolis? Was it B, Quilania graffini? Was it C, Quilania gregorio? Or was it D, Quilania hey?
Well, I do love the hey. Can I hear B and C again, please?
B was Quilania graffini, and C was Quilania gregorio.
Quilania. I'm going to use some thinking man's logic here. Graffini sounds Italian, but Gregorio sounds Latin. So I'm going to go with C, Quilania gregorio.
2 rounds in a row with no points. It is B, Quilania graffini.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I'm really sucking today.
That's okay, Dan. You can get it back with a space-related question.
Right.
Round number 5. Which came first? The launch of the Hubble telescope or Agnostic Front's album One Voice?
Now, did Stigma launch the Hubble? That is the question.
Well, we should have shot Victim in Pain up into space. That's for fucking sure. Because if the aliens come, they got to hear that one.
Oh, they're moshing.
Yes.
They're moshing. They're coming down and they're saying, hey, greetings, Earthling. Blind Justice into Last Warning is the best.
The best.
I'm going to say Hubble came first.
A point to the champ. He's rallying hard, people. Kev, we go to you for round. Oh,
the way you do this, though, you put them in both in the same year, so then you're like, God, what part of what year is it? You know,
if they're both in the same, no, I've never done that because like it's too hard to nail down a month generally.
Oh, okay,
but they're always like within a year. It's a coin flip, right? I mean, who could actually know the shit? Okay, Kev, we go to you for round number 6. What band put out the 7 inches Victims of a Bomb Raid and Raped Ass? And you get a bonus point if you pronounce their name correctly.
I'm fucked.
I want this bonus point. I want this bonus point.
Anti-C-Mix.
We're gonna go with 1 point to Kev. Not even close on the second one because otherwise Stafford would fly out here and drag me out of my condo.
So now I'm in my head where I can't remember which is the right one because I know I mess it up so bad.
Can I try?
Yep, go ahead.
Anti-C-Mix.
Yep.
Anti-C-Mix.
Yep, that might have been a steal for Dan, but unfortunately not on the table. We go to Dan for his final question of the night. Dan, this is a multiple choice as well. On the cover of Youth of Today's We're Not in This Alone, there's a dude wearing a bold shirt. Does he have A, both hands X'd up, B, right hand X'd up, C, left hand X'd up, or D, no hands X'd up?
Well, I know it's one hand X'd up, so now I've got to do the pose on myself right now to know. I'm going to say it's his right hand X'd up because he's grabbing his left arm.
Dude, he's the champ for a reason, people. God damn. A point to the champ. And that means that Kev has 5 points and Dan has 5 points as well. All right, Dan, you're the champ. You get to decide. Do you want to take the first 25 to life or the second?
I'll take the first. I'll take the... Yeah, I'll take the first.
All right, let's hit it, everyone.
What? What? Okay.
And Dan, how many points will you be wagering tonight?
I'm the champ. 5.
I'm going 5. All right. Kev, how many points do you want to wager of your 5?
All of them, 5.
All right. Dan, you said you're going second?
I'll go first.
Okay. All right. Here you go, Dan. This is your 25 to life. Let's get those lyrics right. Easy.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Easy.
I've been out of the game too long. Can I hear it 5 times in a row, please?
Dan's been studying the final 4 of the Japanese 7-inch duel that he hasn't been listening to 25 to life. All right. Here we go. 5 times. This is fucked.
Okay.
He doesn't even say the first 2 words, so if you don't get those 2, you can still get this.
I think he says angry, violent as the first 2 words. Can I hear it one more time?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Angry, violent, and something feats of strength.
I mean, I can see it, but dude, you were giving old RTL no credit. He's very positive on this one. He's actually saying, try and remain positive. Keep your head on straight. Everyone come up front, sing along. Remain positive. Keep your head on straight. Everybody sing along.
Oh my!
Real.
I mean, I can kind of hear it now,
Dude.
The first time you said it, I was like, "There's no fucking way," and then you played it 2 times. I'm like, "Okay, Rick, okay."
Dude, I gathered these like a week ago, and when I listened to them today without like the answer key, I was like, "This is fucked." this one is actually fucked.
It's always fucked, Zach.
Last time I came so close, I was like 1 word off.
True that. Okay, we go to Kev for his round. Here we go. All points on the line. Easy peasy. Easy peasy.
3 times, please.
Here we go.
Now I gotta love myself.
Not that far off, dude. He says, no help. I gotta help myself. Everyone come up front, sing along. No help. I gotta help myself. Sing along. Pile on.
He
Both
definitely
lines.
says, "Now I gotta love myself."
He does not say
Definitely
help.
does.
Dude. These are both from the song Refocus off Friendship, Loyalty, Commitment.
He changed those lyrics.
Hey, what are you going to do? Okay, so we are tied at 0, which means we are going to the playoff. And all right, here's what we are doing for the playoff. It is Towns That In Control played on our 2001 tour. Dan, go ahead.
Oxnard, California.
Kevin wins the night.
I was going to say Plattsburgh.
Should have said Plattsburgh.
All right. This is bullshit. No, technically he would have to get one right, but I already just gave him an answer, so
I won't.
Okay.
I'll guess one, and it
Okay.
won't be that.
Okay, go ahead.
Omaha.
No, never played Omaha, but did stay in a motel and watched that.
I'm back in the game, baby.
Do you want to go on from that? No, you lost, dude.
Plattsburgh, New York.
We did play there. We did not play there the following year, But all right,
Wilkes-Barre, PA.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where I thought you were going. We played Wilkes-Barre and Philly that year. So, but Kevin, a disputed but in my opinion noble victory. We will see how it plays out next time.
It's okay. I'll be the champ next time anyway.
Always. Always. What's up, everyone? We are back and talking hardcore. Helping out. You know him. You love him. He is the best dressed man on the pod. He is Daniel Sant. What's up, Dan?
You're twisting my melon, man. You know you talk so hip. You're twisting my melon, man.
Also helping out, live from the Liberty Bell. It is the king of the windmill. It is Kevin Hare. What's up, dude?
What up?
What up? What up? All right, let's just jump right into it. We are going to talk some new music out the gate. And, I mean, we're going to dive into the Scarab LP. Kev, it's the record of the year, don't you think?
Yes, I think so. At minimum, it's definitely on the short list, but I can't really think of anything else, especially as far as just pure, straightforward hardcore records. I think absolutely hardcore record of the year so far.
Yeah. I mean, there might be a lot of recency bias here, but we'll dive into that. But before, let's go through a few things that came out in the last month or two that I wanted to shout out. We may or may have not gotten to them because I don't think we did this last month, but 100% Pure, they put out a promo, Digi promo. They're out of Canada. Check that out. Terminator out of Canada also. They put out their Identity LP on Rebirth Records. The digital's up now. The LP is up for pre-order, so handle business. Also, that Madman demo, this is a band out of Pittsburgh. That's an excellent demo that also came out on Rebirth Records, so order that as well. And then, hey, just to round it out, my band Subversive Intent put out a demo on Rebirth as well, so handle business. There's some copies left. Rebirth Records, get at their big cartel and support that shit. All right, also, the band It's the Limit out of San Antonio put out their self-titled 7-inch on Fortress Records. It goes hard. The band Bad Beat, they put out their LP 2025 in June. I think we missed that on the June episode, but it's a really good follow-up. That's on Triple B. The band Negative Charge out of Canada put out a self-titled LP on Neon Taste. The band Clobber that we've big upped here a few times, basically every EP they've put out, they put out a new one called God Loves, Man Kills that came out on Ven Records. It's a 7-inch, really good. The band Chopping Block put out a 2-song digital EP on Indecision Records. 2 excellent songs, and they got an LP coming this fall. The Illiterates put out a new LP called Does Not Compute on Sorry State Records. Dude, it's the Illiterates. They don't miss. What's up? A band called Psych War. I believe they're out of Philly, Kev. But they put out an LP called Psychotic Warmonger. Came out on LP and cassette. It came out on 3 different labels, so just Google it and figure it out. Also from Philly, assuming Psych War was. Dark Thoughts. Okay, sick. Yeah, Dark Thoughts, they put out a new LP called Highway to the End. Came out on Drunken Sailor. Dude.
That band rules.
If you want a more aggressive Ramones, it's where it's at. It's one of the only respectable pop punk bands. Let's be real, Okay, a band called Uniformed Service put out their demo on Exploit Tapes. I believe that is members of Savage Heads and maybe The Massacred, but it's cool. I think it's only on YouTube, so you got to Google that one. The Eliminators, we're going back to Rebirth. The Eliminators put out a 7-inch called SFHC, came out on Rebirth. It rules. I ordered it. Also, a band called Flip the Switch put out their demo on Rebirth, handle business. Then Top Dollar out of New York City put out a 7-inch called Objects of Misfortune on 11 p.m. Records. Also on 11 p.m., Who Pays out of Brooklyn put out their Hard Times 7-inch. And then wrapping up, a band called Interracial out of Indonesia put out a EP called That's Why We Hate. I believe it's digital only. So check out their Bandcamp. That thing is pretty sick. And then to finally wrap it up, this is coming out on Monday, and this week Syndrome 81 is coming to California. So I hope everyone supports those shows. They're playing Pomona, San Diego, Bakersfield, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Froy on top, what's up? And then also Bayway and Shattered Realm are coming out. They're playing Phoenix, San Diego, San Fernando, Fresno, Oakland, and Portland. So handle business, people. Hardcore rules. What's up? Okay, Kev, let's dive into the Scarab record. What do you think?
Yeah, this record is great. I mean, of course, they are the local heroes. I think that they're the best local band here since Blacklisted. So there's a lot of expectation for this, especially a band that's come out, you know, they've only existed for about 2 years, but they've come out firing, just, you know, pretty prolific for being a band for, you know, so brief. So there were a lot of expectations for the LP, and I know on like a personal level, there was kind of a lot of pressure on themselves for it, and it was kind of a kind of hard process to get done, you know, because they were so passionate about it. And I think that you can really hear it in all the songs. It's 8 songs, 12 minutes, but it doesn't feel too short. And to me, it does feel like a real LP because there's you could tell that there's real effort and focus put into it on like as kind of a band thinking like, hey, this is our final form. We need to really put this effort in, as opposed to an EP or something like that maybe wouldn't be like that. So I think that really, it does really show. It just rages the whole time. They didn't fall into any traps, I think, that they could have, where they would do what a band, you know, a heavy band like this would do, where with, you know, slow songs or even just doing too fast. Like, they do everything that Scarab does, which is, you know, really blazing fast songs with really strong, like heavy, hard mosh parts. They just kick it all up to 1,000 in every way. And I think that it really works. I mean, Everybody's in the Way, I think, is maybe the best song on the record. It's like really fast. It has really catchy, you know, just you'll just start thinking about like Everybody's in the Way because it's very clear and you can hear it. And then the mosh part is just sounds exactly like a Hatebreed mosh part in the best way possible. They kind of hit the Hatebreed formula, but they put their own twist on it because they go very fast and then they have these kind of groovy in the pocket breakdowns, which I think really works for them. Throughout the record, I hear stuff like a little Disembodied here and there, The Swarm, Left for Dead, some Blacklisted, like all sorts of different things, kind of some very much like on their sleeve, but then other things kind of like Blacklisted that I kind of hear more in the vibe. It kind of reminds me of Heavier Than Heaven, even though it doesn't sound like that. So, yeah, and then we talk about Blacklisted. George and DFJ are on the song Withdrawn, which I think it's a guest vocal spot that really works because to me, it doesn't come off as like, you know, kind of forcing this guest spot. It just kind of, you have 3 of the greatest hardcore vocalists of all time, just all going back and forth and like, you know, kind of doing what they each do well. George comes in and makes an entrance and you know immediately that it's him. DFJ kind of contrasts everything. So I think that it all really works. And it's just a record that I've been listening to over and over and over. And like I said, at the end of the year, I think there's a real strong chance that this is album of the year.
Yeah. Also, the beginning of Everybody in the Way, like that is so Cold as Life, you know, like straight up. Yeah, the guest spots, like when I saw them, I was like, okay, they got some heavy hitters, but, you know, that's just like a deterrent for me recently. And it wasn't on this record at all because honestly, I can't even tell where they are. Like, because the singer of Scarab, like, kind of does several different voices. Like, he varies his gnarliness. And so, like, on my first couple listens through, I was like, I can't tell where the guest spots are. So it's all good. And you could, like, the more you listen to the record, you can definitely tell where they are on Withdrawn. I still can't really tell when it's Todd and when it's the singer of Scarab on the song Ugly. But, Yeah, I don't know. This record is fabulous. Like the blueprint of this style obviously is Satisfaction is the Death of Desire. And the crazy thing is like Hatebreed put out that record, which is a perfect LP, and no one ever touched it again, including themselves. Like 5 years later, they put out Perseverance, and like Perseverance doesn't hold a candle to Satisfaction. And I hear, people sometimes saying like, oh, I like them both or whatever. And like, it's cool. Like you can like the whole Hatebreed run. There's songs I like off almost every Hatebreed record, but like, dude, Satisfaction is the only great record. Like Perseverance, I probably only like 3 songs off it. Like it's not that good when you're like comparing it to like one of the GOAT LPs. And it's Hatebreed, like they nailed like the speed, the gnarliness, and the brevity. And it's like those 3 things together are what makes it special. The closest that anyone ever got to it was Terror Lowest of the Low. Like that was a very good example and very close to it. And I think that this is like in there. Like, and that sounds like high praise, and maybe this is like the recency bias, but like I think this record is like pretty perfect, at least to my personal taste. It just sounds amazing. It sounds huge. And I've liked everything that Scarab has done. Of course, like the demo 7-inch and then like the second 7-inch, but they put out that 3-minute Detonator last year, which I thought both those songs were good, but they were a little noisier. And I was it sounds stupid to say like I was worried about a band going in a direction, but like I was really hoping that they weren't going to go like more in the Nails direction. Like Todd can pull that stuff off. He's obviously a musical genius, but like when bands try to do that stuff and like, they get like noisier and you don't have like, as Dan would say, like the negative space in the songs, like I think it loses something, right? Like, and this Scarab record, like kind of pulling back from that and just leaning all the way into like the starts and the stops. It's brilliant because like those, like the silence on this record is what makes it, right? Like they hit like big silent spots like before big moshes, and it's absolutely ill. And like just every song rages. That mosh on Animal in Pain, like that's like a risk it all mosh, right? If you're old, it's just like, fuck it. If I die, I die. You know what I mean? And and then also just like the way like they transition into some of these mosh parts, like it's very high level, right? These guys are high level musicians that choose to play aggressive hardcore music, and I think that's commendable. I think they set out to do something. I think they knocked it out of the park. If I was going to neg anything at all, I don't love the cover art. I don't love guest spots, even though these ones are pretty good and not offensive to me. And yeah, that's about it. This record is like near perfect to me. Like I've listened to it a ton of times. It's got lots of hooks. It kicks ass the whole way through. And yeah, I fucking love it. It's going to be in my top 5 end of the year for sure. And for me right now, LP of the year, probably knocking off Nisimono from the top of that heap. So yeah, Dan, what do you think?
It's interesting that you talk about the EP before being noisy, because I hear the noise on this, but you nailed it where you said on the silence is produced perfectly. So it's like there is that little bit of overmodulation or Swarm of Bees-ish slightly over the music parts, but they cut it when they cut out the stuff too. And, this is coming from Bob Rock Sant over here. I'm such a production knowledgeable person, but it is giving me that kind of Gehenna, like Swarm of Bees sound a little bit, especially through speakers and not necessarily in the headphones. It's a lot more punch. But what do I know? All I know in the studio is to crush Lars's toe. Shout out Lars Crush Toe Crush Daily on IG. So anyway, the drums sound so sick, and Breza is going hard. It's like proper masterful, upbeat, true hardcore drumming throughout. It's so fucking good. It is the thing that drives it, like, what you say, like the speed and the tempo. It's not being done by a lot of the other hard moshing bands. And the bass tone is filthy. It's like truly nasty. It sounds so great. What Scarab does is build an LP channeling like that Hatebreed-esque formula and adding everything that they've found sick along the way since Hatebreed came around, So it's like a house built with like a foundation of Hatebreed with a few bricks of Terror, some blacklisted mortar, some nail cement, some hope con gravel, some throwdown stones, as well as like many of their peers adding like curtains and landscaping and shit. I don't know. But as you said, people are going to die in some of these moshes. Everybody in the Way and Ugly have mosh parts that, you know, that one skinny meth dude that you only see come out to the very hardest shows. He's at home drooling about the nasty elbows he's going to be throwing at the edge of the pit to those songs. You know, Scarab pack in so many unique moments and tricks in the production. Like, you know, there's reverb vocals at just the right moments, followed by, I love that, like, intense breathing on 10-Foot Shadow. Like, it's like building up and he's just like, and then delivers like a maniacal vocal performance. It really adds aggression and intensity to those vocals. And then there's like this low vocal noise added to the out of sight, out of mind part on Withdrawn. It sounds like it's either from a movie or from like Bolt Thrower or something. It's really sick. But aside from all these creative parts and creative production, the choices where the LP really, really, really shines is the fact that it's just pure fucking hardcore. Like, when there is a hard as fuck mosh, there is often an upbeat part leading out of it, you know, showing that hard moshes are only part of the musical journey, that this band is so much more than just, oh, we're going to deliver brutal mosh parts. You know, it's got some of the most brutal two-step parts you'll ever hear, seriously deranged manic vocals bouncing all over the songs. And but then they get harnessed for like perfect sing-along moments. And then you get swept away, as you said, into some of the most savage moshes ever. Like, If I Die, I Die. This is definitely up there for LP of the year. I can't wait to keep listening to it for the rest of the year as well. Oh yeah. Shout out to the evil, demented Ultimate Warrior amoeba on the cover. Scarab on top.
Yeah, not a single song over 2 minutes, which is sick. And then do the snare tone. So good. How do we feel about the sampler, the skit thing? Kev, you like that or no?
I think that it's fine. I don't really have an opinion about it too much, but like it feels very them. So like, you know, I can't detach the personal level of it, right? So like I hear it, I'm like, okay, it's actually Tyler. It sounds like to me. So I think that it's cool. It's quick, so it's fine. You know, if it wasn't there, I wouldn't notice either. So I'm indifferent, but it didn't offend me or anything.
What do you think, Dan?
I love it. I love it. I think you are getting to such a point like that you're just old man on the lawn, just yelling at everyone about guest spots or tiny samples. Like
I didn't even give an opinion, dude. I might come out and be like, dude, it's my favorite fucking skit of all time.
Okay, is it?
No, because you know I did get a copy of one of the outtakes, one that was left on the cutting room floor, and I do think it's better. So as an exclusive, we're going to play it for the 185 listeners. Here we go.
Are you having any darker thoughts of hurting people or hurting yourself in terms of addictive behaviors or torturing yourself or other people? Burning buildings down, blowing things up?
Yeah.
Dude, they got the guy from Storage Wars? How did you edit out the Storage Wars guy? It's so fucked up. Yup. Would have been sicker. Would have been sicker. But what are you gonna do?
That'd be sick. What if he discovered a storage locker and it was just Scarab inside playing when he opens the gate?
Dude, yeah.
That'd
what if you
so
open a storage locker and it's a bunch of Scarab test presses? You're like, oh shit.
And then he takes it to some expert. We're going to take this down to Zack at 185.
Then you take it to the guy from what's the Pawn Stars guy? He's like, dude, I'll give you $6.
The best I can do.
The best I can do is $6. So, yep, should have come to me instead. All right, sick.
I won't say too much about the Scarab test presses. I'll have no comment on that.
Fuck you. All right, let's continue our journey through the Poison Idea catalog. This is Dan's journey, but I am joining him on this one because my journey ended with the last record, Blank, Blackout, Vacant. So going into this, I had never heard this LP before. We're going to discuss the album We Must Burn. It came out in 1993 on Vinyl Solution Records in the UK, and in the US, it came out on... what the fuck? Oh, Tim Kerr Records. So there's that. And then in France, it came out on Smash It Up Records. So lots of variations for the freaks. Handle business. Dan, how you feel about this one?
You know what? It's a good listen. The record is sleazy on two levels. One part is like nihilistic, dirty barroom hardcore that could be really an evil twin to some later era nardcore. I think the other part taps into that a little too, but is more thrash worship. It doesn't go full-on thrash, in my opinion, but it definitely courts it with flowers and chocolates and big fucking solos. Don't Ask Why opens it. It's fucking awesome. Sounds like early Metallica to me. Musically, it's so funny because the song is the most thrash-sounding song, but doesn't have any of the ripping solos. Don't ask me why. The next song solos enough for the whole LP, though. Hard and Cheap is a Poison Idea Aussie dive bar stomper that they seem to have loaded rose tattoos directly into their needles and mainlined it. The new wave intro to It's Not the Last is awesome. Then it breaks into a mid-tempo rock and roll banger that could be the perfect end credit song to a film about losers. It's a sick song. Foiled Again is a straightforward punk banger, a short song that rips. Shout out to Zack on that. The Jesse's Arms song is a weird piece of poetry about heroin addiction set to a completely demented Dead Milkman soundscape. It's totally bonkers. My favorite song's Slumlord. On the verses, it's like a mentally sleazed out take on Anything by Dramarama. Kind of if it was like spunked on by Iggy Pop. The choruses are hard as fuck though, and the guitar line is really catchy. It's a sick song. Stare at the Sun tricks you into such a melodic intro, and Jerry's O at the beginning is so tuneful and awesome, but then it flips hard. It goes super hard. And then after that part, it settles and is the perfect flip-flop from melodic to aggressive parts. And then it ends with Religion and Politics Part 1 and 2, which is kind of like their damned...
Dan, Part 2 is not on the record.
Oh, it's not? Okay. So, well then, interestingly, on the deluxe edition it is, shout out TKO Records, part 1 and part... So it does the early part of what, like, the damn Smash It Up would be. Smash It Up Part 1, kind of like... It has acoustic guitar on this. Shout out Pig Champion, breaking out the old acoustic. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. All in all, I think the record is a really great listen. It's not their very best, obviously, but they're just such a damn listenable band anyway. So it's fucking great.
Yeah, I didn't love the previous LP because it's like the first time that they get away from having like fast like as their backbone, which is rough, right? Like they write great mid-tempo songs, but I want the majority of songs to be fast and then have a few mid-tempo songs. And Blank, Blackout, Vacant was the opposite. It was like mostly mid-tempo with like 2 fast songs, and like those fast songs, like Smack Attack, like that's not a top 50 Poison Idea fast song. You know what I mean? I'd put it like towards the bottom of the barrel of their fast songs. And this one, they're just settled in, right? They're a mid-tempo band now. They do a fair amount of like the slow fast beat on here, and like they're still aggressive and sleazy, and like this is a good record. Like if you like Feel the Darkness and Blank, Blackout, Vacant, I don't see why you wouldn't like this necessarily, but like as someone that likes the 1980s Poison Idea through 1990 the most, like it's another record of more mid-tempo stuff, and it still sounds nice, it sounds aggressive, but like the long songs like get to me, right? Like It's Not the Last and Slumlord, both like over 5 minutes. Jesse's Arms is like, it's very swinging. Maybe they're trying to like recapture like the song Feel the Darkness, that caps that record, is like kind of the same vibe as Jesse's Arms. So, they probably enjoyed that song and they kind of did another thing like that. I will say, like, doing Endless Blockade of the Pussyfooter, like the Gizm song, like in the 4th slot, is a pretty sick move, dude. It's super ill, and they do it amazing, which is crazy because Gizm, they kind of seem like a band. They don't sound like the Bad Brains at all, but like, when someone does Dan, I know you guys have done a Bad Brains cover and you do it pretty good, so I'm not negging you, but like, people like cover Bad Brains and it's like, what are you doing, dude? No one can sound like this. You know what I mean? Like, you can't touch like this band, like 82 Bad Brains, right? And like Gizm is kind of that way too. It's like, why would you attempt to cover something that is so like unique and weird and like can only be pulled off by these people in this era in that studio on that day during that moon cycle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Poison Idea does it, and it's like, it is sick, dude. But like, again, they come out of that and you're just like, wow, that was so sick. And then they hit you with a 5-minute song. And so I don't know. Like, that one song, Foiled Again, is super sick. It's like 1.5 minutes, but like, I think that's the only song that's like under 3 minutes. So, or it's the only one under like 2.5 minutes or something. But I enjoyed this record. It's just like, they are up against the rest of their catalog, which is like an unenviable task, right? Like, Poison Idea's run from 1983 to 1990 is the greatest run of any hardcore punk band ever. Like, they put out so many good records in like that span. No one ever did that without like falling off, right? And Dan, you do talk about this, like getting a little metal in points. Like, the last thing I want to say is like, I do think it's pretty crazy. Like, they avoided like the crossover shit, like in the 80s. They put out that War All the Time record in 87, and it kind of has a little bit of crossover vibes in parts, but like, they never went fully that way. But there is some riffing on here where it's like, oh, they kind of like, they fell into like that heavy metal trap in a couple pieces here. But hey, that happens when you get good at guitar, right? Like, you just gotta know how to pull back. And I mean, Pig has been an amazing guitarist for, a decade at this point. So some of that stuff is going to seep in. Kev, what do you think? What do you think, Dan?
I was just going to say, this is kind of like the last thing before he kind of leaves the band, right? So he's just itching to show all the musicality that he is capable of, I think.
No, he's in the band for at least into the early 2000s.
No, so he stops touring like right after this, and then they do that 7-inch a few years later without him, and then in the early 2000s he rejoins. So this is kind of like the end of Poison Idea, like as a band. They come back. There's more after, but this is kind of the end.
This is the end. Okay, well, shows what I know. Yeah, they do that Pig's Last Stand record in 96. Is that like a live, like his last concert?
I think so. And then there's that 7-inch that came out in like 98 that I'm drawing a blank on.
Yeah. Here you go. Pig's Last Stand. Poison Idea's very last show, June 6th, 1993. So.
Oh yeah, the Learning to Scream. That's the one that comes out in like 98 without him. That's pretty good, but
yeah,
there's no Pig Champion on it. So.
Yeah, fair. And I saw him in, I think in 2000 or 2001. Pig wasn't there, but like, they were sick. They played with Dr. No, and it was like that first time they came back without Kyle. And there was this long hair, just like always like climbing on people. And he was just fucking yelling at fucking Brandon, "Where's Kyle?" and flipping him off the whole time. It was sick. So. Kev, what do you think about this record overall?
So like I just said, this is the last, for all intents and purposes, the last like active Poison Idea record. And I think you can tell, to me, it just sounds like they're kind of on their last legs a little bit. Like they're kind of repeating themselves. The record is pretty good. I don't think it's bad or anything. Like, I can put it on and it's Poison Idea, so the bass level is good. But for me, like, the songs aren't really memorable. Like, even on Blackout Vacant, which also isn't my favorite, it still has like Punish Me, which is an all-time Poison Idea song to me, and some other good ones. For this one, I don't really like, none of the songs really stand out to me. The thing that stands out the most is the Gizm cover, which I do agree, like, especially in 1993, that's one of the craziest sounding songs of all time. It sounds like Aliens. So to try to like cover that in a time period where I would imagine people wouldn't be that receptive, and putting it fourth on your record is pretty bold. So I think that that's cool. But like otherwise, I think that it's good. But the third song, Hard and Sheep, like to me, it just sounds kind of like we got the beat cover, and you know, it's just they're really leaning into. You guys mentioned metal, and I kind of noticed like a lot of like kind of classic rock on it as well. And you know, even like the later era Black Flag stuff, like I was listening and parts were thinking of like reminding me of Annihilation Time, which is obviously a band that is newer than them, but you know, it's curious to see it. I wonder if Annihilation Time was pulling from this a little bit. So yeah, overall, like I said, I think that this is good. Poison Idea is one of the greatest bands of all time. So even their worst record is still good, but I do think that it's on the bottom of their catalog for me. I think it's probably the ones after this. So you said that you stopped with Blackout Vacant, Blackout Vacant. Sorry, but I kind of stopped with this one. The other ones after that, I've listened to a little bit, but I do put this on every once in a while, but it's never a go-to or anything.
Well, we're going to keep continuing all the way through the end. We got to decide if we're going to do EPs or not, because I do think I asked Mark from TKO, and he said that he thought that the Religion of Politics Part 1 and 2 7-inch came out after this, but we're not 100% sure. And that is, it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 song 7-inch. So we could do that even as a full episode, but we'll decide what we're going to do. Dan, where do you think this ranks in the catalog? Final thought.
It's near, from what we've heard already, it's probably at the bottom, but it's by no means a bad record. There's still a lot of stuff to mine off this that is enjoyable.
I feel the same way. I think that like a lot of people, Poison Idea is their favorite band, and like this record it's like a record you like. You know what I mean? Like I love Slayer, I love Iron Maiden. They have like plenty of records that aren't their best record where I still like them, and you know, they got songs that are great off it. Yeah, Kev, you think bottom of the catalog as far as like the initial run?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, there's no real like hit song even on it, you know, either a vibe that runs through the whole thing or a hit song. And this doesn't really have either of those. I think they sound a little burnt out too.
All right, we are capping off both tournaments tonight. We're going to wrap up first the best Japanese hardcore EP, 1981 to 1985. The final four. It's the Gas Tunk self-titled EP from 1985 going up against the Clay Middle East Combat Area from 1984. On the other side, it's the Lip Cream Night Rider More Than Fight EP from 1984 going up against the Execute with their EP Hardcore Temptation from 1983. Hell of a final four. Kev, how do you feel overall?
I feel good about this one. I think that we got the right final four. I feel good about that. I don't think there's anything that should be in this that didn't make it.
Yeah, so we let the alphabet do the work, and then some stuff got subbed in and out, but like I didn't seed things. And I feel really good about this final four. I think it's great. I think that if I was going to make a final four on my own, I would I'd probably put the Kuro in for the Lip Cream 7-inch, but I do think that the Lip Cream 7-inch is great, and I think it's their best record. So yeah, I love this. I think that anything that comes out on top is deserving.
I think maybe I'd put the Zao record in there over the Lip Cream, but you know, I think that the Lip Cream is a good one. So I don't think it's terrible, or anything. But
yeah, I agree. But I would be fine with any of these winning. I think that this tournament was great, and man, I just really enjoyed it. I love diving into this stuff. There was plenty of stuff I'd never listened to before that I've gone back to multiple times, like that Guy's record. I like a lot. That Bitosha record I like a lot. The Deadless Muss and the Mobs, they all have like interesting songs off them that I've enjoyed a lot. Like, So yeah, let's dive into it here. Gas Tank versus Clay. What do you think, Kev?
So for the entire tournament, we've talked about how we think the Clay would win the whole thing. And I thought the Clay would win the whole thing. And I kind of went into thinking about this today to wrap up my thoughts. And I'm like, yeah, the Clay is going to win. And then I did a last listen. And I'm sitting here and I'm going back and forth. And I'm listening to the Clay record and I'm listening to the Gas Tank record. And I think I got to go with the Gas Tank record. It's just so good. And like, it's so catchy. It's produced so well. And the song, I keep talking about Devil whenever we've done this, but I kind of neglected how great the second song Shout is with like the Roman guitar and all of that on it. It's like really catchy, but also really just proficient. And it sounds great. The Clay record is awesome and it rages more. And if I saw either of these bands live, I would want to see the Clay more because there are just parts where you just know the room would absolutely explode. But like I said, at the 12th hour, I was just like, I think it's got to be Gas Tank.
Yeah, I think that Shout is maybe the best song of the entire tournament. I love that song so much. It's amazing because it's like the same thing over and over, just repeaties, and it's like I never want it to end, right? Like it could be a 5-minute song, and I'd be stoked. And like just having like that lick be like the hook, and then building off it into the solo is like it's out of this world. And yeah, listening today, like again, I was like, I think the Clay's taking the whole thing, but like it's so hard to vote against the Gas Tank because it's just completely special music that like just transcends everything. Like I don't know what it is. Like you listen to it, you're like, it doesn't like jump off the page that this is like hardcore punk or metal or like anything. It's just so unique and like totally of its own thing. And so like when I listened to it probably 4 times today, and on that 4th listen, I was like, the Gas Tank's gonna win, you know? But then on my 4th Clay listen, I was like, this is the fucking best, dude. It's so meaty, so gnarly. Every riff is memorable. And while it's not as extra as the Gas Tank stuff, the solos just unleash like crazy. So you still do have like some of that extra element there. And like, there's like the YOLO shit too, a little bit. Like it's so solid that you don't feel like they have as much YOLO as some of the other Japanese bands. But like, dude, that transition to the fast part on Fight for Your Rights is so fucking insane. It's like, what is going on here? The solos on the demilitarized neutrality and Middle East combat area are like 2 of the greatest solos I've ever heard in my life. You know, like it's so good. And like, it's those catchy hooks that like, they're just, it's in the vein of like the stuff that I like more than anything, right? Like, I hate to say that I'm comparing everything to like the Judge 7-inch, but like maybe I am. And there ain't nothing wrong with that, dude. You know, and like, it's got like the big sing-alongs. It's got some beautiful solos. It sounds so meaty and gnarly. It feels fucked up like going against the Gas Tank 7-inch, which I think might be the most special 7-inch of this tournament. But I'm staying with the Clay. So, Dan, we go to you for the tiebreak. What do you think?
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, so now everyone's going to be mad at me. All right. Well, the Gas Tank I find to be so bluesy. You know, it like has this really underlying melody in the vocals and the music. And it does have like chorus pedal like flying around on it and stuff. And, you know, but that song Shout, it is totally ripping and bonkers. It has that like guitar lead that just gets under your skin. It's unbelievable. It is a pretty damn long song though, but that guitar kind of takes you for a ride the whole way through. Now we get to the Clay, and that I feel is a bit more in my wheelhouse just because it's more of like traditional like dirgy UK 82 delivery. You know, I love the vocal delivery too throughout this EP because the singer, like, I'm going to quote a 185 word here, has brevity, and he chooses where to sing on the parts, you know, and it really kind of adds to the songs. Now that song, Fight for Your Rights, holy fucking shit. it's another reference to young Metallica. Did they listen to this song and then go, you know what? We should sound like this? Because I can totally hear like elements of that, like in young Metallica, you know? And the title track, it just builds up from the beginning into that like sludgy, I don't know how to describe it, like a crawl, like a total sludgy crawl, but then it launches into a fucking galloping maniacal song that just starts ripping. The whole EP rips. You know, I've got to, if I'm gonna, I can understand why you guys are torn completely between the two things, but I'm gonna just have to give it to the Clay because of that mosh in the middle of the title track into the Psycho double solo. It's just too epic.
Yeah, and that mosh is also the intro, right? It's so fucking hard. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Kev, you lost one for once.
I lost the most important one, possibly.
Yeah. But these everybody.
This was the final.
Everybody gets a trophy this round. Yeah. You know, you say that, but we go to the other round and or the other side. So this is Lip Cream going up against the Execute, and every time I put on this Execute 7-inch, I'm like, this has got to win. It's like the most high level writing here. Like that first song, The Final Attack, is so in the pocket, dude. It's so sick. And then, dude, Blackwater, MTB, maybe of the tournament. You know what I mean? So, and then you kind of think like these guys are so solid and in the pocket. Like, are they ever going to let loose and get crazy like a lot of this Japanese stuff? Well, they do. On the next song, Spunk Out. Like they just like break the chains and just go full YOLO, you know, and then they hone it back in on the fourth song, that Will Border, right? Like, which is very Motorheady and very like back in the pocket. And, you know, again, like the high level writing, that bass break on that song is insanity. You know what I mean? Like, think about how much practice it takes to like hit something like that. You know, it's like, it's just more than a basic punk band. Like it's so high level, but you know, I think that the Lip Cream is like the, you know, it's definitely the fourth place of all these, but like it has its big moments also. I think the first song is not good, but Knight Rider More Than Fight, great song. VX2, again, one of the best mid-tempo bangers of the tournament. And then Good Choice, how it gets like almost a melodic on the end. Da, 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 da. Dude, you don't see that coming. So I love this as well, but this was a no-brainer. I'm going the Execute. What do you think, Dan?
So it's so crazy that you like just hit on so many points without me knowing what you were going to say at all. I wrote notes on this and like you straight up like hit on almost everything I said. Like them being in the pocket, but the thing that makes them crazy while they're in the pocket is the reverby, echoey vocals just make it sound like maniacal on top of it. Blackwater, which, you know, all 185 trivia listeners must know, I love that song. It's totally channeling like Wrathchild Maiden for me. It's just fucking ripping. It's the perfect hardcore jammer. Spunk Out has those crazy toms at the beginning for that intro. And then a Will Border, the banger, it's just the tempo, they're like so fucking clean but filthy at the same time, and that tiny bass break is the star of the entire EP. Now Lip Cream sounds like dirty, and you know, and VX2 is definitely my favorite song on it, and they sound like sick. Like the low refrain of the vocals of the band went like the repeated vocals when the punks go marching in while the lead vocal is going wild on top of it is fucking sick. But this is not a competition in my opinion. I think the executes Lip Cream.
All right, so that sets up our final. It is the Clay Middle East Combat Area from 1984.
I didn't even get the vote here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Wait a minute.
Let's go to Kev for the inconsequential vote.
I am going to vote for the Execute. I do also agree. This is the time, like we've talked throughout the tournament, that this is a classic record. And I haven't had that much else to say about it, to be honest. But this time is the time that it clicked the most for me, I guess, for lack of a better word. Not that it didn't before, but I kind of saw, how great the songwriting is, where it's really, they're able to kind of capture everything that is great about Japanese hardcore, where the chorus is very catchy, the songs are very raging, and it kind of sounds YOLO. The song structure is a little bit different, but at the same time, it's very classic sounding, like this weird paradox. So I do think that, it's pretty easily to execute. Although this time I did make note as well about how great the title track Night Rider More Than Fight is on the Lip Cream record, where it just really distorted and crazy sounding, and it's great. Probably one of the better songs of the tournament. But I'm going to go execute on this one pretty easily.
Yeah, it's like the perfect moment of the Execute's like career too, right? Like they do that first 7-inch in 83 as well, which is like a little more raw. And honestly, I might like it even more than Hardcore Temptation, but it's just like when I listen to this 7-inch, it's like this writing is just on such a high level. It's got to be the one in the tournament, but I have like debated internally, like, did we choose the right Execute record? And I think we did, but I would just say to people, you got to listen to the first two, and really Criminal Flowers is pretty great too. So a band worth checking out, and hopefully some people got turned on.
I seen the Flexi in real life. Now it was $2,000, but I did hold it in my hand. So
I think Final Solution has it, and I think it is like not Final Solution. Radiation Records has it, and I think it is like $2,000.
Yeah.
It's on the wall.
I was at a disc union and somehow ran into somebody that I knew at a disc union in Japan at 1:00 in the afternoon, and they said, "Check out that bin over there. There's just an Execute Flexi in there." And it was just in the bin, Christ. But it was $2,000.
That's insane. All right, so let's hit that final: the Clay versus the Execute. What do you think, Kev? You got snubbed last round, so you can go first here.
I got snubbed last round, but which is fine. Like I said, the whole time I thought the Clay was going to win, so I'm not upset that they are in the final. I think that they're very worthy of it. The only other thing that I'm going to add that I didn't say before was I can just imagine when they start playing Fight for Your Rights, like you can just imagine the last song rages and then it stops and just the guitar riff comes in and you can just see the entire room just fucking swarming and going insane. And I think that moment is enough for this to win. But the whole thing is just so great and clean sounding and really well thought out. And it sounds like it could be done today. So the Execute record is great and it's a great finalist, but I'm going to Clay.
Yeah. I'm with you, dude. We've said it all. There's been multiple episodes. Get in those archives, people, if you want to hear us like dive into all this stuff more. We spent a lot of time talking this, but I'm going to Clay with Kev. So it was an early favorite. I don't know. I mean, I think that the Execute, the Clay, and the Gas Tank, I saw them all from the beginning, like going to the final four. But I think Clay is the deserving winner. What do you think, Dan?
You should have gone to me next to make it have some jeopardy, because I am gonna choose the Execute over the Clay, just for the simple reason that I feel the Clay is channeling, a little bit of what you can hear elsewhere in the world, which is fantastic. But the Execute comes across as being so of what it is, like the wildness of Japanese hardcore and the transitions and the echoey vocals and the things that were just being done in this area first was why I would go Execute over the Clay. But hey, you could just flip a coin and you've got a perfect record, right?
The only thing I would take over it is this earlier. Like, I think that there's a giant difference between 83 and 84. Like, hardcore is like a worldwide phenomenon in 84, and 83 it's still early. I mean, there's a bunch of hardcore comps. Like, I think those Finnish comps are 83. So it's pretty worldwide already. But like, at least in the US, like in 84, like it's just a glut of shitty bands. Look at any Mystic comp, So yeah. But shout out to the Clay. So let's look at the Clay's road to victory here. In the first round, they take out the Jigga Flexi. In the second round, they take out Zhao, the Final Agony. The next round, they take out Crow, Who Killed Dove. And in the then in the semifinals, they take out the Gas Tunk EP. And in the finals, they take out the Execute, Hardcore Temptation, the Clay. Your winners with Middle East Combat Area. Okay, let's go on to the hardest 90s demo. The final four, the Death Threat demo from 1998. The Buried Alive demo, also from 1998. The Marauder demo from 1993. And the Hatebreed demo from 1985. First matchup, we are going Death Threat versus Buried Alive. Kev, what do you think?
So I love the Buried Alive demo. I love how blown out and crazy it sounds. I do listen to it on its own. However, we've discussed Brotherhood is like the classic Death Threat song, or one of them, and I think that goes very far here. So I'm going to go Death Threat pretty easily, even though I love Buried Alive, but I don't think Vogel would agree to go Buried Alive over Death Threat either. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, good matchup. Buried Alive made it to the final four, which is sick. It's really good. Both the songs are great. I just think about both of those songs in the context of the LP. Where like these Death Threat songs, this is where they live and breathe. Even when they're put on the Last Days record, it's these versions. They don't re-record them. They're that good. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine, first of all, I can't imagine writing a song as good as Brotherhood. But then, like, I can't imagine, like, writing that, recording on the demo, and then being like, oh, I don't need to, like, re-record this for my first CD. Like, it was just that good in its initial form. If I was, like, holding Justice over, like, a town of hardcore kids, and they were coming up, and I was, like, the executioner, and people had to, put their head in the fucking, in the guillotine, and I asked them, like, what is the greatest hardcore song of all time? You know what I mean? And, like, someone would like rail off some bullshit and they just get lopped, But like, but if someone, their neck is in like the wood and like they're looking up at that blade, through the top of their eyes, and they're like, dude, Death Threat Brotherhood, greatest hardcore song of all time. They would not get lopped. I was like, you could make an argument. It's a perfect fucking song. And the other two, no slouches either. The recording is sick. I mean, in my opinion, this thing's going all the way, and I've thought it like from the first round. So, yeah, I'm taking Death Threat. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting that what you say. I would not get lopped because I would also say, I would tell you Brotherhood is one of the best hardcore songs ever recorded, but I'm going to have to say Blind Justice into Last Warning. Oh, Executioner, please let me go.
That's right.
But, this really does start with one of the greatest hardcore songs ever. It's got a perfect tempo part going into a hard two-step part where the person who's lyrically being read the riot act gets called a cunt.
Yep.
Which just fucking rules. And then at minute 117, shout out to Posse Chris, the way Aaron Knuckles says, that shit is real, kid. Like with that pause is nothing short of genius. It's absolutely amazing. There's no one with this delivery, there's no one with this charisma. Like, this is a one-of-a-kind person. And, go into Mainstay next, and we're going back to how good the vocals are. Don't get me wrong. The music on all of these Death Threat songs are so high quality and so amazing. But when someone drops a Insanity, like, that is just too fucking good. Hardcore is my only savior, my family, and my friends. Death Threat all day. And that's going against like Buried Alive, which is so sick. It's straight up hardstyle hardcore. It's brilliant. The guitar sounds amazing. Vogel is killing it lyrically, just reading the absolute riot act to like old fucking people trying to use hardcore as a step up. It's still happening today, Scott. Tell them. But Death Threat wins this one.
All right. So Death Threat moves on. On the other side of the bracket, we are doing the Marauder demo, 1993. They got multiple, but that's the one we're doing. And it's going up against the Hatebreed demo. Dan, what do you think?
All right. The Marauder demo is so fucking good. It's so dirty. Again, full of charisma and straight up hard. Like, this is so New York. Like, the delivery on the vocals are just so unbelievably New York. Now, you may think the songs are too long. I know you probably think the songs are too long. But, you know, that part at the end of Life is Pain, where it's just like doing the Life is Pain part, it set it off, owes a credit to that song for sure. You know, and the bounce and swagger on Final War is unbelievable. It channels the Cro-Mags. It's so good. The solo is like prog rock bonkers, you know. Besiege the Masses, so good as well. Like, the only thing the Fear of Sin song is a little weak for me, especially the beginning. It sounds a little comical, but don't tell them I said that, please. Hatebreed demo, the minute it starts, you have it. The snare, the vocals, not to mention all of those tempo changes and the stomping moshes. Like, it is truly game-changing. This band, those vocals, everything about it, it's hard as fuck, but still, anybody who is the biggest igno, like, knuckle-dragging mosher to the most, like, posy youth crew kid can still love this band. You know, I hate that these are going up against each other. It's really crazy, but it's the hardest demo, and I'm going to have to give it to Marauder. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard and charisma-filled. What
do you think, Kev?
So I have listened to the Minus demo more than I've listened to the specific Hatebreed demo in my life, because obviously it's not like, if I'm going to listen to these Hatebreed songs, it's just going to be the LP or even Under the Knife is Severed. But that said, Hatebreed comes out the gate with 3 of their classic songs, 3 of the hardest songs of all time. You know, Life is Pain is the classic Marauder song, so I do give them that. But, like, there's really an argument that, like, any of these 3 songs are the Hatebreed song. So, and, you know, there's 10 other songs you could agree with that too. But, like, doing those 3 songs right off the gate, I got to go Hatebreed. I love the Marauder demo, but Hatebreed.
Yeah. Hatebreed has a fast part. They win. All right, so the final... It's a good Final Four, but hey, we're talking about the finals of a hardcore tournament. You gotta have a fucking fast part. Let's be real. Okay, so the final, the Death Threat demo versus the Hatebreed demo, the battle for Connecticut, dude. What do you think, Kev?
So this seems like it was destined from the very beginning. I think that we might have predicted exactly this. If we didn't, I think we were thinking it. But I just said Hatebreed, 3 songs that ended up being on Satisfaction later. When you think of these songs, you're thinking, or Under the Knife. Sorry, I keep saying that, but Severed obviously is not.
Yeah.
But, you know, you think of the other versions of the song. It just is fact.
Yep.
Death Threat come out. They put these 3 songs out. Brotherhood, definitive Death Threat song, only on this. And they still play it. Not last, but, you know, second to last probably every night they play. Like, it's one of the big highlights of their set, and they did that first, and they didn't see a reason to perfect it later on because they did it the first time. So I am very comfortable proclaiming that Death Threat is my winner on this one.
Yeah, and I'm sure we mentioned this on previous episodes, but like when the Death Threat demo comes out, it might be 3 members of Hatebreed in the band, or like it's like 3 ex-members. They had a lot of like overlap in this era, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's just so good. We've talked to death. I'm going Death Threat as well as my winner. What do you think, Dan?
Yep, it's unanimous. Brotherhood beats all of the Hatebreed songs put together, in my opinion. Brotherhood is just like unbelievable.
Insane take, but okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, for what it means to me. I think that song is one of the best written hardcore songs ever. And that's when, there's so many people out there like, no, the other Death Threat is better. It's like, listen to Brotherhood and shut up.
I just got to say, I celebrate both Death Threats. I just got to put that out there.
Same.
Yeah.
I do too. But it's the fans of the other Death Threat that are like, the fans that only like the other Death Threat are so quick to try and shit on this Death Threat. Like, they're not even like giving it a chance.
That's right. So many people don't like bands like Pennywise or Sublime because of the fans. I don't like that Death Threat on principle because my whole fucking life I've had to be like, no, the other Death Threat. It's like, no, dude, Connecticut Death Threat all day, motherfucker. What's up? Okay, let's take a look at their path to victory. So Death Threat in round number 1, they took out the Billy Club Sandwich 1996 demo. In round 2, they took out the All Out War 1992 demo. In round 3, they took out the 100 Demons demo in another battle for Connecticut. Then tonight, in the final 4, Death Threat took out the Buried Alive demo. And then in the finals, they went head up with Hatebreed and bested their Connecticut brethren. And the Death Threat demo, the hardest demo of the 1990s. What's up? All right, I am joined by John Kelly, a.k.a. Johnny Waste, from the legendary New York hardcore band Urban Waste. What's up, dude?
Oh, good, man. How's it going?
What is going on? All right, Johnny, when do you get into punk and how do you discover it?
When did I get into punk? I got into punk, I guess, in 1979 would probably have to be the year I was introduced to, like, the Ramones and the Plasmatics and the Clash. I was listening to Blondie already. I was listening to the Police. I knew a whole bunch of metal bands. Rest in peace, Ozzy. He was like, we just lost a great yesterday. So, but yeah, around the like 79, 80, I was already into metal. I was into the early bands of metal, and I had heard about these bands, but it wasn't until I moved to Ravenswood Projects and met my buddy John Dancy, who introduced me to all these punk bands like the Ramones and the Clash, and a whole bunch of bands. And we used to pawn our records to go see the Ramones when they were coming into town, and then like a week later we would go buy them back from the pawn shop. It was Rat Cage Records, or it was Bleecker Bob's. It was one of those record shops on the Lower East Side. And we were avid Ramones fans. We used to go so much that their road manager, Arturo, used to bring us backstage to hang out with them after the show, because they just recognized us from like always being at their shows. So yeah, we went to see the Ramones a lot. We had gotten to see the Plasmatics when they came. They did a couple of shows at Bonds International in New York City, and I was like 12, 13, I guess. I was 12. Yeah. No, I was 13. I was going to see these concerts, and it was crazy. And I got to meet Wendy from the Plasmatics, because they used to do interviews on NBC, the Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder, and all the punks, whenever they had like a punk band like the Plasmatics and the Ramones, we would get standby tickets, because they had reserve tickets, but if they didn't fill them all, they would go to standbys. And my buddy John Dancy and we were like always on standby. We always got in somehow, and we get to see them play a song or two, do an interview, and then after the show they'd come out and sign autographs. And I actually got an autograph from my Plasmatics poster signed by Wendy, and which was very memorable moment in my life for a kid, seeing some crazy punk rock shit like that. And but yeah, and we used to know like how and then leading from there, we met other punks at these shows. And one of the Ramones concerts we went to, The punks were like, if you like the Ramones, you're gonna love these guys. You should go downtown and check them out. We're like, who is it? They said it's the Bad Brains. Like the Bad Brains. I was like, that sounds wild. And we went downtown to check out this band, the Bad Brains. I don't know what club it was. It could have been the Mud Club. It could have been Max's. It wasn't CBGB's because I pretty much lived in that place a little bit later on in my story. So yeah, they're like, if you love the Ramones, you're gonna love the Bad Brains, and they weren't lying. It was like that was the first hardcore punk band that I saw that fucking made me go, wow, where have I been? And as like we walked in, and there's like bodies jumping off the stage, the singers like doing like backflips, and I don't know what song they were playing because it was the first time we heard them, but I was instantly hooked. And I found a whole new group of people, going to these local shows because the Ramones was going. When you went to see the Ramones, you were going to see a concert. You weren't, like going to see a local show at a pub. When I was going to see them, I mean, I missed their early days because they were doing all that. But yeah, that's where we were. Where they pretty much got their start with like CB's, the Bowery, St. Mark's. Is like it was like a melting pot for punk rock and the birth of New York hardcore. So, and once I found that scene, that's when it was like an amusement park down there. Like I used to like my buddy John and I used to frequent St. Mark's, exploring the Lower East Side. We found the A7 Club. Met a whole bunch of new friends there. Jimmy G from Murphy's Law, Kraut from Doug Holland from Kraut. Met Keith from Cause for Alarm. Met Vinny Stigma from Agnostic Front. And all these guys hung out on one central corner was Avenue A and 7th Street. And we would, it was like that was the New York hardcore corner where everyone met up, like either to go, go out drinking, go out partying, check out some bands, and just have fun. And I was a truant growing up. I didn't really focus on school because it was boring to me. So I spent a lot of my from like I'd say from 8 years old to fucking 18 years old living on the streets.
Yeah. Can you kind of paint the picture so all those classic New York hardcore 7-inches come out in 83, like the Abused, Antidote, the Second Mob 7-inch, Agnostic Front, and of course the Urban Waste 7-inch. But in 81 you have the two Kraut 7-inches, and in 82 you have like the first Mob 7-inch, like the Nihilistics, Misguided, that kind of stuff.
Well, I could definitely talk about the Kraut and the Mob because Doug Holland, he was a neighbor. He lived like 5-6 blocks away from us, and when we used to hang out, I remember when I got one of those unemployed EPs hot off the press.
Yeah.
And Doug is he's responsible for helping name the band too, Urban Waste. He was there when we were brainstorming names for the band, and we had Urban on the page somewhere, we had Waste on the page, we had Sewer, Garbage, we had like anything you could think of on there, and he put Urban Waste together. You guys should call yourself Urban Waste because you're a bunch of waste anyway. But they were, Kraut was already making a name for themselves. They got to open up for the Clash. It was like the very first show ever, and they remained true to the hardcore scene. They played all the local shows. They pretty much A7 was like their office, because they played there so much, and CBGB's and Mud Club, Max's, Kansas City. There's a lot of cool places to play back then. And as for the Mob, Jack Flanagan, Ralphie, Jamie, and Jose, man, those guys they helped Urban Waste out more than anything back in the day. They helped us help know who the fuck we are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because Jack Flanagan helped put the Urban Waste EP out. We didn't have money, and we scratched our pennies to get this recording going, and he took it from there. He says, you guys, I'm waiting for this recording so I can get it out there. I want to get this out there, and we formed in mid '81. And our record came out December of '82. We didn't go into the studio until like it might have been March of '82. I actually have the reels. They have all the dates on it, but I don't have that with me. And Jack paid for the pressing. He paid for the he paid for the printing and the pressing and all the inserts. He got it to distributors to get it out there to like not just the United States, but he went international with it. He had like Dutch East India. He had Important Records, and there was one other one I can't remember, maybe Profile Records or something like that.
But you do you do a demo in '81.
Well, that demo was in '81. It was just a 2-song demo. That was another thing Doug Holland from Kraut helped us out with. We went into some basement. We recorded like the only 2 songs that we had was at the time was Military Mutiny and no, we had Reject, but we did Mutiny and Military Abuse as the recordings, and they were just to help get our name out there. We never did anything with it back then. There was no tape cassette of them. Oh, there might have been a tape cassette for a demo.
Yeah.
We might have printed up some copies, but we never did anything with it until like many years later. And I just happened to still have the files. There was a lot of songs that are not on the EP that we had written back then. So that was like 2 of them: Mutiny and Military Abuse.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about writing and recording the 7-inch. Where were you practicing at the time? What was your like practice spot like?
Our practice spot was in Ravenswood Projects in my bedroom, and our equipment consisted of a snare drum and a garbage can top as a cymbal, and I had some hand-me-down Gibson copy, and I was plugged into a stereo receiver.
So sick.
But the forming of the band is it's because my first love for music was the drums, and I wanted to be a drummer. And when the band formed, John Dancy, our drummer, he's the one who asked me if I wanted to be in a band, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? This is like early spring '81, and he wanted to play the drums, and I had no problem with that. It was just like, okay, what am I going to do? And he said, well, I got a friend Billy, he's going to sing for the band. So all right. So now I got bass or guitar, and I was like, well, I feel like the bass is a little too big for me, so I guess I'll learn how to play guitar. So that's what I did. I got I didn't have a guitar. Signed myself up for music lessons, and I went to the Bellis Music School, in Astoria, on Broadway. The Bellis Music, whatever. Yeah, that's where I went. The Bellis Music. So I started taking guitar lessons, and I didn't know anything. I didn't, barely knew how to hold a pick. And so my instructor, who was teaching me, he finally got me to. I learned some chords, and he was starting to teach me how to play scales. And he says, now that you know some chords, just go home and write some songs. I'm like, all right, I guess I could do that. So that's how the Urban Waste song started getting written. I learned a D chord. We wrote the song Mutiny. I learned an E chord. We wrote the song Reject, and so on and so forth. And I was starting to learn a little bit more and more, and that's my progression and my learning shows pretty much through the songs, because I really didn't know anything before those songs. And then we had Billy. He was writing the lyrics probably while he was in school. And Dancy and I would practice every day in my room. And the neighbors, they were cool about it. They were either at work or they were telling us we sounded all right.
That was so sick. What do you remember about recording?
I remember everyone telling me to turn it up to 10.
Yeah.
They said we need it on 10. I had my phaser, I had my flanger, I had my distortion pedal. It was Power Play Studios, and it was near Queens Plaza. It was known for recording a lot of hip hop artists, and our engineer Pete Sanchez was the guy on board, and he never recorded a hardcore punk band or even a rock band, I think. And so I guess to him we were a bunch of noise, and during the mixing, I guess there was some miscommunication. Our drummer pissed him off a little bit, and he took all the sliders and wiggled them up and down and said, "There's your mix." And we went with it. When we got the recording back for the test pressing, I was not impressed, and apparently I was wrong, because a lot of people seem to like the chainsaw buzz guitar that I have on there, and I've become accustomed to it.
Yeah. How do you feel about it now? Because it is considered a classic hardcore 7-inch, one of the greatest USHC 7-inches of all time.
I'm humbled. I'm honored. Filled with gratitude, and when we were in the studio, there was a much more powerful sound to that record. But when it came out, it was like, wow, what happened to that boom that it had in the studio? I was like, did he just drop all the bass out or the bottom end out?
Yeah,
Something happened to it.
You're listening to the studio on the best speakers you ever heard in your life, probably, right? So
yeah, I guess at that time, yeah. And it was meant for hip hop, so it probably was the booming big subwoofers they had.
Yeah. In the song "Public Opinion," that song mentions punk and hardcore separately. Did you consider them different things in 1982, in 1983?
I don't even know, what can you really consider them? Because those are his lyrics, and he's like, it was like, yeah, I don't want to be labeled as one certain thing. So he, if he says I'm not into punk rock hardcore, then he said I'm not into punk rock, I'm not into hardcore. So each label had a meaning.
Yeah.
It's just like it could have been anything. It could have been I'm not into like sailing, or I'm not into golfing. But I'm not going to stop someone else from liking to do that shit.
Yeah, fair enough. The song "Ignorant," it's the first time I think that like the hip hop drum beat was used in hardcore, which would like in the 90s become like a New York hardcore staple. How do you feel about that?
Dancy, I watched Dancy come up with create that beat. It took him like 2 weeks, and he would nonstop for hours. He would just go at it until it was like muscle memory. But he was very proud of the things he accomplished playing drums, because he's also self-taught. And if you re-listen, it's hard to pick out the drums in there, but he was a very syncopated drummer. He kind of like to stay with the rhythm of it.
Yeah,
instead of those straight 4/4 beats, because Tommy Ramone and the Ramones were like one of his favorite bands, and that 4/4 solid beat was something he said that's impossible to duplicate because it's very tedious.
Right.
But he was a good drummer. I appreciated his art and what he did for the band, and especially that Ignorant beat, man. That goes down to history, And even drummers today, I was like, you're not playing it the way he played it.
Yeah. The song "Reject" is funny because like it's talking about people being rejects because they like music from the past. But that's funny because now 40-something years later, like this is a lot of our favorite music is that early 80s hardcore. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we got a reject club out there. There's a lot of all my reject friends. The Vinny Stigma and I used to always go around. Yeah, man, we're fucking rejects. So Vinny is like the vice president of the reject club. And I used to do a reject dance, I'd like make my legs all rubbery and like just bounce around while I was playing it. Now I just do it naturally because of my nerves.
What can you talk about some memorable shows from this era, and how popular was Urban Waste like at this time frame?
What in the early 80s?
Yeah, like right when the 7-inch comes out.
Right when the 7-inch came out, we were still just doing our local things. We were trying to set up runs. We were trying to set up tours. We were trying to get more gigs, and you know, we didn't really know how much the record was getting out there until like 80, like late 83 when we started getting like some fan mail.
Mhm.
And, the shows were getting better. The bands we were playing with were getting big, were bigger. And, in '84, it was like we were doing real good, or so I thought. We had played with By a Threat and the Mob, like December '83, and we were getting ready to set up some runs. And then our singer and our bassist, after one show, says, "We want to go and do some other ventures. We want to venture off into some other things." I'm like, "Oh," and that's where the band split up. It was like '84. It was like outside of CBGB. It was after one of our shows. The sweat was still pouring off of us, and they're telling us that they're done with the band. But at the time, John Dancy and I we were playing with Major Conflict as well.
Right.
With Ditto. So we instead of like trying to find another singer and bass player for Urban Waste, we just left it there. Probably a good thing. Maybe not. I don't know. But, all right.
Do you think that you guys being in Major Conflict led to them leaving? Like they felt like your time was, spread out?
No, Major Conflict wasn't really doing that much that it was interfering.
Yeah. Because that 7-inch comes out in '83 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late '83, another end of the year. But that was another.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
I said that was Major Conflict was another fun project. That's why it pretty much did keep us busy for a while, until like '86, and that's when that band started dissolving.
There's that CD that comes out in '05 with like all the material like that wasn't on the 7-inch. Was that all from the same recording?
United States of Deception or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a CD that has everything on it. It has like the message from the underground,
Okay.
Because that song's amazing. Like I think that stuff that didn't come out in the '80s but was recorded back then is like the best stuff.
The Major Conflict release you're talking about.
Yeah, the Major Conflict. Yeah.
It starts off with like a fight, an argument.
Yeah, it's like a intro and then goes into Message of the Underground.
Yeah, well, that was an actual argument at the studio between the drummer and the bass player.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the bass player or something. Took his bass off and they were getting ready to fight, and John Dancy goes, "We don't fucking fight in this band. We fucking play music. Put the fucking bass on, Nick." No, and it's like holy shit! Like, and then at the end of it, they have another argument.
But that song,
to me, that's more, huh?
that song is so sick. It's like the best song. How did that not make the 7-inch?
The Underground?
Yeah.
It wasn't written yet.
Okay, it was a second recording you guys did.
Yeah, there was the 3 songs, and then we were writing those songs while we were probably recording this one, but it just wasn't out, and then it'll release stuff later. Yeah.
So many early punk and hardcore logos are iconic, and Urban Waste has a great logo as well. Can you talk about the concept behind it and how it came together?
Once again, that credit goes to John Dancy. The circle with the UW was his idea, and he probably is ripping off Volkswagen, but we got away with it. we put it out there. Soon after we came up with the name for the band, that's when he came up with the idea for the logo. So before we even played any shows, we used to print up the logo. Make like 50 copies or something, and every time we'd go into the city, we'd post them up on the subways. And then even before the logo, we had a flyer. It said Urban Waste on top, had a picture of Uncle Sam in the middle, and then it said Mutiny on the bottom, because that was the first song we ever wrote. So we made a flyer for it, and we made like 25. I used to have my mother; she was a secretary, So I would have her print up some copies and bring them home, and then whenever we went out to the city, we would just post them up on the subways. So Urban Waste was getting out there before we even played our first show.
That is so sick.
Yeah.
Since you were there, what do you consider the first New York hardcore band?
The first New York hardcore punk band was that I saw was the Bad Brains, but they were, I didn't even know who I was checking out. But the second show was, to me, I would say the first hardcore bands would be Reagan Youth and Heart Attack.
Yeah.
The Mob was already doing it. It was already this. It was already hardcore punk when Urban Waste was still practicing to play our first show. But bands like Crowd, they were heavily punk influenced, but bands like Cause for Alarm, they were more hardcore influenced. So it was but there was no hardcore then. So they was just making this, these 1-2 beats up. It was just being, thought of everybody. That's why there were so many great riffs to come out in the early '80s, because we were scoffing them up like people scoff up domain names these days.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that this crazy new style of music that you were doing, in the early '80s would end up being a lasting thing played worldwide 40 years later?
It was the intention, because our mindset was, John Dancy always used to say, we're going to be like the Ramones, but we're going to be faster.
Yeah.
So there was an idea to take it further, So yeah, there was some concept that we wanted this to last and go somewhere, but at the time it was just a fun time. Even hardcore bands of today, they just last 2-3 years and they're done. We played with so many great bands, and that since 2008 I've been doing this again. So I played with so many bands that I've seen come and go. I was like, wow. Oh, they'll be back in 20 years, or they'll be back in 30 years. like I've gotten lucky enough to do.
Yeah.
I do it now because it's a way to say thanks for supporting the music, and it's great to see it's survived this long. And I didn't think I didn't think I'd be doing this 44 years later.
Yeah. That's a good time to say, everyone, you can follow Urban Waste NYHC on Instagram. They're still playing shows, so go there and see what they're doing. Johnny, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, rest in peace to my OG members, Andy, Kenny, John Dancy, love you guys. Billy Phillips, he's still with us, the original OG singer on the demos. And thank you everyone for supporting the band throughout the years. Much love, peace, and hardcore punk.
All right, final thoughts, Kev.
Great interview, very informative, learned a lot. It's weird that we're now coming into the back part of the year, the last quarter of the year, but still has been a great year. And I cannot believe that we actually finished the tournaments. I think these easily could have gone by the wayside. And I feel very proud that we got through it. And the next ones are even crazier and will also spark more debate. So I'm excited.
Yeah, one of them is some straight up insane shit, dude. It was a lot of homework, but I think it'll pay off. The Japanese tournament was very rewarding, I think, and fun to write about as well. So everyone, make sure you check out the Substack. I'm writing about punk and hardcore there, and also we didn't say, but there's a playlist for every episode. 185milessouth.com. Check the playlist link at the top of the page, and also you can just find it on Spotify. Dan, final thoughts?
I would say the playlist on this episode is going to also be a YouTube link in the Substack, probably, right? Because a lot of this stuff, that's where you got to listen to it, the Japanese stuff in particular. But this was great. Thanks for letting me in on the tournaments. And if you're going to actually someone, hit up Kev or hit up Zack.
Respect. Yeah. My overall final thoughts. The Scarab LP delivered. It's like everything I hoped it would be and more. So that's sick. Fun to do the Poison Idea shit again with Dan. And then I'm really happy with how the tournaments went. I think that like the Final Fours on both were respectable. I think that these are aspects of hardcore that don't get talked enough. You know, the first wave Japanese stuff, and then like a lot of the bands of the 90s tournament are very popular and get talked a lot, but as far as like their demos and like where they came from, and also like talking about how the demo was like such a big part of that scene and of the 90s, because like the barrier to entry was pretty low. I think like that was an important story that was told. And then also the story of the Japanese flexi, like in that era, and like how it was like kind of the backbone of that scene. So, you know, we put a lot of work into these podcasts because like I have a lot of respect for like the history of hardcore, and like I hope that comes across, because I do want these to like kind of be, you know, things people can like look at in the, you know, in the future sometime. Like, you know, you look at old fanzines and read and learn stuff, and I still do that all the time. So yeah, I think that these ended up being like decent documents for talking this stuff, and I hope we didn't embarrass it at all. You know, for the people that were there, if we weren't there, you know, I think that we spoke on everything pretty respectfully. Okay, Dan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Southpaw Instagrammer.
Kev, where can the people find you?
Not Fair to Flare on Instagram, and Fall Salvation HC on Instagram. New songs at some point.
Hell yeah. Okay, everyone get at me, 185 miles south at gmail.com. Email, don't DM me, please. And yeah, 185milessouth.com. And then we're on Substack. We're on all the socials. So handle business. And dude, if you like this podcast, consider becoming a Patreon. The Patreons are the people that keep this thing alive. So handle business. And that's where we will find you next Monday behind the dreaded paywall. Ha 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 ha.